Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Through incompetence, the Internal Revenue Service uploads thousands of Social Security numbers to the internet. And these are the people that are going to be overseeing the implementation of Obamacare. That does not bode well for America or for your health and healthcare needs. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me in studio again today is Steve Crampton, Liberty Counsel's Vice President and General Counsel. Steve, it's absolutely unbelievable, except that it's not. I've come to expect just about anything from this Obama Internal Revenue Service, this bureaucratic monster that where the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. We have, of course, the scandal that's ongoing of targeting conservative and Christian organizations and individuals for harassment and heightened levels of scrutiny and so forth, clearly trying to silence any kind of dissent in an election year with President Obama. Now we have, according to Newsmax, the Social Security numbers of at least over 2,000 people posted online as a result of incompetence within the Internal Revenue Service. And this is the group that are going to be the Obamacare police. They've hired 16,000 new IRS bureaucrats to implement our health care. Right. This is scary stuff.
This is scary stuff. You know, it's often been said that knowledge is power, information is power. I think no institution in America exemplifies that truism better than the IRS. They've got the goods, as it were, the most intimate financial information on all Americans, at least those that abide by the law and actually file taxes and so forth, and even many of those that don't. And so if you have this as truly a matter of incompetence, one you would expect to see, and I guess we will have to check over the coming days and weeks, that it will affect an equal number of those leaning left as those leaning right. Would it be interesting if all 2,000 happen to be conservative Tea Party types again in this case?
Yeah, stranger things have happened.
Right. But even if it doesn't, when you have an organization with the power and the database that the IRS has that has turned political, and we've already seen it. I mean, basically, you've got an admission here that this is now a politicized, or at least it has been, politicized organization poised to implement the greatest change in the way Americans live and work that our nation's ever seen. And the hiring, now it's not just the long-term employees who are themselves apparently incompetent, but brand new folks off the street that are going to be the ones implementing Obamacare. What kind of recipe for disaster have we created there?
Yeah, and I use the word implementing, you use the word implementing. I don't even know that that's the right word. Maybe enforcing Obamacare? Because that's what we're talking about here, is the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, using the full weight and authority and power of the federal government in order to force individuals and companies against their will to take part in the precursor to a full-on single-payer socialized medicine monstrosity, which is what and President Obama has said as much. That's what he ultimately envisions, and this is the first step in that direction. This is government health care run by a bunch of bureaucrats. Imagine, waiting in line, going to the Department of Motor Vehicles to have your spleen removed. That's what we have here in Obamacare. To have clearly politically motivated individuals already at the IRS intentionally targeting, the record is clear on this now. Yeah. The evidence is in individuals for harassment and so forth. Imagine now these politically motivated people with this power and this authority having your medical records.
Exactly.
I wonder how many thousands of conservatives and Tea Party individuals and Christians will have their medical records inadvertently uploaded to the internet,
right.
Steve?
That's exactly right. And we're sounding the alarm here, and Tea Party folks have joined on. There are a small number of more principled left-leaning folks who recognize the evil, if you will, of too much control in any government agency by any government, any political party. Imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and this were George W. Bush, or say, if we can go back that many years, Richard Nixon, with an IRS department with this much power and, again, that kind of data bank, using it against his political enemies. The left would be apoplectic. We would have congressional hearings nonstop. They'd be on every major news network, 24/7 coverage, and you would see it curtailed. I worry, Matt, in one sense, we're kind of beyond the pale here. We've kind of crossed into a whole new threshold where the government, with its ability through NSA to spy on every cell phone call, every email, every piece of computerized data that we might think is private on our own laptop or something, and to be able to use it, as we've seen the IRS already do, for illicit purposes. I mean, what kind of freedom do we enjoy in America anymore?
Yeah, well, you know, the bloom is off the rose when it comes to
all I see is thorns.
President Barack Hussein Obama, and even many of the, as you mentioned, the more principled left-leaning types, which really borders on a contradiction in terms, frankly.
I understand.
But no, there are those who I think
those.
are well-meaning and really, you know, of a liberal or a progressive mindset, who also recognize, and I recently wrote an article basically, you know, saying, hey, can the left and the right at least come together and agree that this guy, Barack Obama, is, you know, a little bit of a tyrant, and that maybe we need to come together. You know, there are as many leftists infuriated over this NSA scandal released, you know, whether Edward Snowden is a hero or a traitor. I'll leave that up, you know, for posterity to decide. But the reality is he has revealed to America some very revealing and telling and troubling information about the federal government's encroachment under this Obama administration. It has spiked. There was some of this going on under the Bush administration. And now there are many nations around the world, including our allies, who are saying, what are you doing spying on us like this? And so I hope that leftists and, you know, and those on the right, and that we can all come together at least and agree that Barack Obama was not as advertised.
And by the way, how's the response to your article and call for unity on this issue going? Have you had a lot of
you know, believe it or
response
not, I've actually received a number of emails from individuals, left-leaning individuals, who say, hey, I disagree with you on everything, but on this, I will agree. And I mean, some radical leftists who were big-time Obama supporters coming out of the woodwork and saying this guy is bad news.
That's good to hear. Now, meantime, I mean, constitutionally, Congress, theoretically, has oversight over these executive agencies like the IRS. But as a practical matter, how does Congress, with its, I know it seems like it's a huge bureaucracy too, but really a very limited number of employees and actual congressmen, get into the bowels of everything that an agency as large as the IRS is? It just dwarfs Congress, of course, in size. How can you logistically oversee this kind of thing? How do you rein it back in at this late date?
Well, you don't. And I think at this point in time, that's why a number of members of both the House and the Senate, conservatives, I think there are potentially some Democrats coming on board as well, saying
abolish the IRS.
That would be perhaps the best thing to do. Abolish the IRS altogether and impose some other form of tax or something. I don't know. We're not here to argue that necessarily, but ultimately removing the IRS from its role in terms of implementation and, i.e., enforcement of Obamacare. I think that might be a good first step, and that may gain some momentum.
You know, and if we were at a different stage, if Obamacare were only now on the table in Congress, I would certainly think there would be serious consideration given to saying, let's have somebody else, maybe even a whole new agency if need be, somebody other than the IRS oversee this program. And as you say, it's not implementation. It really is enforcement, and that's a dangerous distinction.
Yeah, sure is. Well, the IRS has shown, particularly under this Obama administration, but just generally speaking, that there is a palpable conflict of interest here with their involvement, their enforcement of Obamacare, and they're having access to additional information as if they don't already, in violation of the Fourth Amendment, obtain through search and seizure your papers and your private information as it is. Now they're getting into your medical records and are actually uploading people's Social Security numbers onto the internet. That's part and parcel of this Obamacare disaster train wreck that we see moving forward toward cliff's edge. Well, folks, Liberty Counsel's case is ongoing. Liberty University v. Geithner. We intend to stand for freedom. We intend to see Obamacare struck down, and we need your help. Go to lc.org to help us as we help America.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.